What's happening, you filthy heretics? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Colonel Strat, the Strategy Extraordinaire here, and today, I'm gonna break open our Chaosy boys today and show you how to play and how to dominate as the Warriors of Chaos. Now, the Warriors of Chaos are one of the most interesting factions in Warhammer, but they have a lot of mechanics that can intertwine, and they have a lot of choices to pick from as well. Like, you have these three that are technically undivided, and then you have all these ones that are for a mono chaos god, and then this one that's a big undivided with demons, little demon flare. But for this review of the race, we're going to dive into Archaon the Ever-Chosen. The Ever-Chosen, the one that is chosen as the supreme leader of the Chaos forces. So, let's dive into the campaign.
It is time! We march south! Let the quivering fools know we come to tear down their nation, slay their kings, and ravage their mortal remains!
And that brings us to the campaign map. Alright, so, for the Warriors of Chaos, they operate as most Chaos Alliance factions do, where they just, do a lot of destruction, melee focused, not a lot of ranged units, things like that. But they do have some similarities, or rather differences, to the other Chaos factions. So, let's put this guy into Archaon real quick. So, for one thing you'll see is up at the top you have these souls. So, souls are the premium currency for the Chaos Warriors. So every battle against a faction that has mortal units, aka not these guys, any demon units like Slanesh, Nurgle, Khorne, Tzeentch, any factions that are like that, they won't get anything but like these. Mortals, like Norska, humans, elves, dwarves, all of those mortals will give you souls depending on how many you've killed in the battle. So, in souls, what do you use souls on? Well, you use those on Gifts of Chaos. So, I believe to unlock Gifts of Chaos, I'll show you real quick. So, like right here, we'll be fighting a battle here, close victory with these mortal units. But because no mortals were in it, there are only a few mortals, I think, just these guys, we only get a few souls, I think. No, we don't get any souls. Yeah, we don't get any souls from that because they're not a mortal faction. So, let's see. Oh, right, we have to control a settlement. Alright, so let's take, so before we take our first settlement, I'll go over the warband mechanics and everything. So for the authority is measured on each Chaos God, and it gives you various buffs. You get replenishment, recruitment costs, and upkeep, as well as the upkeep is probably the biggest indicator for me to go for the authority. And everyone's different. Like if you're playing a Nurgle faction like Festus, you're going to have more Nurgle authority and less Tzeentch, but you're not going to be using those units. So like Archaon has a lot of undivided because he's using a lot of undivided units, but he does have some authority for all the other factions, so he can employ units from all the other ones effectively and not have to have any, debuffs. Because when you in negative authority, you lose replenishment and have to pay increased upkeep and upgrade and all that. So that brings me to warband upgrades. Now, warband upgrades, what's that? So as your chaos units in your chaos warband goes and fights battles, gains experience, they can upgrade up this tier ladder here. Let's say that like these guys right here, they want to upgrade up to Chaos Warriors. Well, they need to be rank 5, and you have to have that technology unlocked. And then for Chosen, they have to be even more. But it upgrades them. So like right now, Marauders, kind of weak, not so good. They do have some ward save thanks to Archaon, but they're not as tanky. But they do have a decent stat. But once you go up to Chaos Warriors, they have 100 armor, more leadership, more melee attack and defense, more weapon strength. They're just all around a better unit. And if you go up to Chosen, they're even better. So as the Chaos Warriors, you're inclined to keep your units alive, because if you keep them alive, then you're going to be able to upgrade them later on. Now you can choose to dedicate to any of these factions here, but only certain ones will have them unlocked. Like Archaon doesn't have these unlocked yet. He's got to unlock them via technology. I usually unlock the Khorne ones first, and then go to Nurgle and so on. But they do give you little blessings for being these units. So like, it's got the blessing of Khorne, you know, and that gives him more. That gives him fury, and or frenzy, and gives him more armor, more melee attack and weapon strength. Nurgle gives him more health, gives him poison attacks and all that. Slaanesh gives him more speed, immune to psychology, physical resistance. And Tzeentch, I believe, gives him a barrier, magical attacks, and, you know, I think it gives him resilience as well. So it pays to dedicate your units. Archaon's skill tree is nothing spectacular, even though he does have a lot of different spells. Nothing really was changed, but one thing that was changed was the Exalted Heroes here. So everyone has Path to Glory. So you have to complete certain objectives to get these ones, and then you can dedicate, with a cost of souls, of course, to a specific god. Only Exalted Heroes can be dedicated to these two. Sorcerers can be dedicated to Slaanesh and Tzeentch. I feel like in the future there'll be a DLC that'll allow them to dedicate to other things, but you know, dedication does help. So their tech tree is pretty basic, but for certain, I think they all start the same, but Archaon has a different style because like his is branching out everywhere, whereas the other ones kind of go from one side to the other because they're dedicated to one monogod. So they can get those monogod units faster than Archaon, but Archaon can get them all and have buffs to all of them. So I usually do Scrutiny because then that gives more XP, meaning your Marauders will level up faster. And I'll go for Branding Iron because the Mark of Khorne, and it also gives Frenzy for your champions. So for Archaon, his playstyle is to get a lot of aspiring champions because have all those buffs. So let's give you a quick look at Dark Fortresses. To do so, I'm going to take this fortress here. See, if it had that site on it, that site marker, that means it's going to be a Dark Fortress site. So we're just going to auto-resolve this battle against this Slaaneshi force. And we're going to occupy and vassalize. Now, what does that mean? So, we get a bunch of souls. We get the Dark Fortress, and then the Dark Fortress, if it has a Norscan, if it's a Norscan homeland, that Norscan tribe becomes your vassal. So we occupy and vassalize. So this Norscan tribe now, the Kull, are our vassal if they are still alive. And I believe they are. Yes, they are. So they're our vassals. So they're going to pay some tribute to us. And Archaon, I believe, gives extra souls per vassal. So that's one thing to cheese in the campaign is if you're playing as Archaon, you can get a lot of souls really easily, and you don't really have to go out just murdering everything, even though Archaon does love to do that. So that's Dark Fortresses, and these are the only real settlements you want to capture, because if they have this symbol, that means they have a big garrison, a pretty decent garrison, and then you can upgrade that garrison more, and they actually give you these buildings here for money and casualty replenishment and growth. So usually when you play as Chaos Warriors, you act as like a pseudo horde. You hold these Dark Fortresses, and they're scattered all over the world. They're mostly in Norsca. But by the time you've taken 2 or 3 of these, you're in a pretty good position. So you don't need a lot of them, and there is a lot to take. So I feel like it's a good system, and it makes them like a pseudo horde because they can have all their, all their like holdings up in the north, and then they can go down south and just destroy everything and not have to take any holdings. There are some dark fortresses that aren't in the Norscan homelands or in the Chaos Wastes, but most of them are. And I feel like in the future we will see more in the Southern realms. So, you know, that's one good way to expand. Now, expanding on that, we're going to go to the Gifts of Chaos. So, Gifts of Chaos are a new system that was just done in the rework that allows you to dedicate souls to a particular god or undivided. Now, what do these gifts do? They give you random. They're kind of set to random, but I usually go for Raider's Raiment, which gives me more replenishment rate and buffs my Marauders. And if you unlock that technology, you get more experience. So I usually go for that. And then for you can only activate one per turn, I believe. Yeah. So from one Chaos God, you can enact one per turn, but like let's say you had one for Tzeentch and one for Nurgle, you can activate both of those, but you can't activate the other one. So Archaon has access to double gifts from each god. Most of them just have 1 or 4 gifts from one god, and those are the specifics. Archaon does have to unlock these via technologies, though. Be'lakor starts with them all unlocked, but he doesn't have all of the... You still have to dedicate souls to unlock the actual things. So, with that being activated, you'll see this up here, this tick mark up here. That means you're going to be contributing 50 souls every turn. So that means you're going to want to, as Archaon, you can negate this because you can get enough vassals to get passive souls. But as other factions, you're going to want to be attacking mortal realms and sacrificing souls. Otherwise, you're going to defunct on your investment in the gifts, and then you're not going to get your gifts anymore. So, so now we'll go to Warband Recruitment. So the Warband Recruitment is pretty much you have a % chance every turn for a unit to pop up in this pool, and there's a number of units in the pool. The more buildings you build in a province, like let's say I were to build this Fighter's Lodge here, the Fighter's Lodge gives you capacity for and it allows Warband you capacity for the for Chaos Warriors, and then as you upgrade it, you get 2 and then 3. So that means every turn you can stack up to 3 that you can recruit from this province. For the Hall of Axes, you can stack up more Marauders that you can get, and some units depend on the terrain type and on the corruption type. So like if you have undivided corruption, you're gonna get undivided guys. If you have corn guys, so on and so forth. So some of the units that some of the gifts of chaos you can get allows you to get gifted units. So Archaon starts with already a Hell Cannon that he can get gifted, which is a really good unit to have. And this is how you can get the demon units as the Warriors of Chaos. So it's always imperative to get a couple of gifted units, because the Chaos gifts, they come every so often, like every 3 turns or so, you'll get them into your gifted units pool. And then of course you have your regiments of renown, and you have your regular warband recruitment. So like you click these and you instantly recruit them. Instant. There's no waiting or anything. That way that you can just get to the killing, no bloodshed all over. But again, you're most likely going to get Marauders or low tier Chaos Warriors. There's no way to instant recruit Chosen. So you have to put in the effort with your army to upgrade them to be able to get the units you want. Alright, so in diplomacy doesn't really apply to the Chaos Warriors or anything, so other than vassalization. So with that concludes our campaign overview. Let's get into the tiered army list. And here we are with a tier 1 army composition. Now, for this army composition, I've as you can see down here, it's kind of like a plethora of all the chaos divided units. So for the beginning, I usually try to go for something like all around, because the different marks that these each god is good at something. I have very little Tzeentch here, but Tzeentch is always better for a sorcerer, so like I do have a chaos sorcerer here of metal. He'll be my Tzeentchian guy going forward, but you know, take a look at this tier 1 army and just imagine me keeping these units up until the end game. You know, because I usually do a infantry heavy focus, probably because that's my easiest way to play. But some folks can do cavalry or missile units. So, but anyway, let's get into the composition. So, for my main line, I'm going to do Marauders of Nurgle. So these are very solid unit. Any Nurgle unit is really good at defending because they have a huge health pool, a lot more than usual. Great melee defense, and these Nurgle warriors with the Mark of Nurgle, they also get a poison effect, which means that when enemies attack them, they get weaker. So they're really durable, really good for a front line, and any Nurgle units I usually use as a front line, if I have the chance to. Now, for the sides, I have Marauders of Tzeentch with spears. Now, the Marauders of Tzeentch have a unique ability, or any Tzeentchian unit, for the barrier, and I try to use that as much as possible. Pretty much acts like a second health pool, or an additional health pool. The Marauders of Tzeentch, having the Mark of Tzeentch, means they have barrier and they get magical attacks. So they're my anti-physical resist unit. So if ever I get like up against savage orcs or something with a whole lot of physical resist, ethereal units, these guys deal with them really well. And they also have charge reflection, which means they deal additional damage when enemies attack them with a charge. They do additional damage back. For my back line, I have my Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons, preferably dual weapons because that increases their weapon strength. They have Frenzy, they have magical resistance, which means they are resistant to magical attacks and abilities. Frenzy means they get more, they have more damage, and they have immune psychology and melee attack and all that. They're really good. They're really good for supporting the front line, but they shouldn't be the front line because, you know, they don't have a lot of defense. But for breaking through a line with concentration of force, these guys are the way to go. For even further back, even though this is a tier 3 unit, I usually, as Archaon or Be'lakor, I usually start with having one recruited. So a Hell Cannon, really good. It's a very good missile strength ability. They are unbreakable, which means to kill it, they have to wipe them down to the last man. They have these Chaos Dwarves maintaining it. A lot of armor. They do have 2 abilities, Boom and I think Blood, which Blood increases their acceleration and speed, meaning they move faster, and this one just means them do more damage. They already do enough damage with magical attacks. They're really good. So, for a cavalry selection, I've chosen some Marauder Horsemen of Slaanesh. Very fast, the fastest cavalry. They have some magical ammunition and a good missile strength. They have Devastating Flanker, which means they do a double charge bonus, which the charge bonus is only 5. I think, right? What's their charge bonus? No, that's the Hell Cannon. Charge bonus. No, the charge 24. Okay, yeah, that's good. So the charge bonus is 24. That means 48 damage will be done if they attack them in the rear or the flank. They do also have physical resistance and immune to psychology, as well as Strider, which means they don't have to worry about any terrain effects. They can go through anything. Alright, so now we go to Archaon himself. He's just got his basic abilities, Fight or Die, Searing Doom, which he starts with. He has magical and flaming attacks. Really, really good guy. Really good buffed up unit with an exalted hero to accompany him. Just an undivided one for now. They haven't been dedicated yet, but that will come later on. So, and then in the back, to support the main line, I got a Chaos Sorcerer of Metal with his Metal Shifting ability, which increases armor-piercing damage and base weapon damage for all the units around him. So he makes a really good buffing hero to have. And I usually try to keep one sorcerer around at a time. So without further ado, let's get started on this battle. We're going up against a simple Empire force. Should be pretty easy to deal with. Let's have our Hell Cannon focus on the back line. We're going to have the Marauders harass the Pistoliers.
Move on them! Ravage them! Now is our time!
I might even harass some regular units too, like archers.
Throats! We bring ruin!
And then we're going to have our main line move up with the spell ones up here. Now we might lose some marauders, and that's okay.
We fight for change!
And then let's move these guys up. I'll move Archaon to attack the main line.
Plague Fathers of Vanguard! So be it! Move on
Move
them!
these guys in here.
Brothers in decay! A brutal path! Marauders of Nagel! At Ruin's command!
Let's go. We're going to support these guys attacking this.
Marauders of Cold!
And there's a horn going to push through. Let's send Archaon to deal with this guy. The Exalted Hero go with him as well over here.
I am channeling brutal sensation! Marauders of Slanish!
Come on, really?
I am exalted! Transgression and submission!
The missile marauders aren't that good. Fight or die. Come on, Archaon. You're Archaon, the ever-chosen man. Come on. Alright, so the Marauders of Slaanesh came back. Let's go and deal with these Pistoliers. That's their job, is to deal with the enemy cavalry. I don't think I have anything for the sorcerer because I just gave him metal shifting, no spells.
The Prince's Marauders! At Ruin's command!
Let's hit the Pistoliers. That's what we're gonna do. Do Searing Doom again.
That's for this Marauders!
So we're doing a lot, and that Searing Doom really does help. See that? Did a whole lot of damage. Archaon's going to rout this guy really easily. He's Archaon. And I'm going to go take care of their missiles.
Devastation! Rivers of blood! Fresh meat! Marauders of Nurgle!
They're probably going to run, but that's okay.
At once!
Let's get our Marauders over here.
At your command! Marauders of Slanish! Kill them all!
Oh, well, look at that. They caught him. That's good.
Glorious torment! Yes! Lead
Let's
us
get those
to
Slaanesh
pain!
Marauders around there.
Blood for the
Send
blood
these guys over here. We're going to start routing them really easily. The missiles are not going to propose that much of a threat to us.
I bring a tempest! Suffering unbound! Close to the shade!
Alright, let's keep going. Yeah, we've done pretty well here. A lot of the enemy troops are falling back. And they are coming back, though, so we may have to turn and fight them.
We bring ruin! A brutal path!
Let's turn and fight them. These guys are gonna fall back.
Charge them!
Let's go flank those guys.
Transgressions and submission!
Alright.
Glorious torment! For chaos!
We gotta make sure we route them permanently. Come on, throw your spears at them. There we go.
We want their eyes! Yes!
Let's send these Marauders of Slaanesh around here.
Fool! Time goes short!
So that we can...
Drag us to the thrones!
We'll do some melee charges with them. They're not really good in melee combat, but again, like I said, the devastating flanker and all that, it's going to really help.
The Eternal Hunters!
They will succumb! Kill them all!
We gotta chase down those archers. 'Cause that's really what's going to cause the
Brothers
most
in
problems.
bloodletting! Wondrous suffering!
Sweet, sweet slaughter! Eat your souls!
And that will probably be the army losses very soon. Yep, that's the army losses. Alrighty, and as you see, using the synergies of all the Chaos Gods, we're able to really decimate the enemy forces. Using what their Chaos Gods are good at, like Tzeentch's barrier, Slaaneish's speed, Nurgle's resilience, and Khorne's fury, we're able to really destroy enemies real fast. Alright, and with that, let's go on to a Tier 2. And here we are with a Tier 2. So, for Tier 2, we've upgraded the Chaos Warriors across the board, but again, just like Tier 1, we're using a lot of units that are from all the different types, all the different Chaos God rosters. For first thing, we've upgraded to 2 Hell Cannons. Usually at this point in the campaign, I'm able to get access to another Hell Cannon. And another support unit I've got is the Chaos War Shrine of Nurgle, which, you know, in the campaign you can get it at this point, but it's again, it's a gifted unit, so it's kind of random, and you have to make sure you have enough souls dedicated to Nurgle to get it. So again, not everyone's going to have this at this point, but I usually try to get a Chaos War Shrine as soon as possible, especially of Nurgle, because the Nurgle one gives you a heal over time, and you know how I like heal over times, basically a Mortis Engine effect. So, and then to carry on, our Chaos Marauders of Nurgle have been upgraded to Warriors of Nurgle, buffing up their armor, their weapon strength, and their health even more, as well as they look freaking badass. And then our Marauders of Tzeentch updated to Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch with Halberds. Again, really good unit upgrade, pretty much good across the board. They get rid of charge reflection, but they do have a defense versus large. They do have reflection, and they added defense versus large, which means their charge bonus is negated by them. So they're a really defensive unit. And then the Slaaneshi Marauders upgraded to Chaos Knights of Slaanesh. Usually you can get these early on because the Chaos, even though it says the Chaos Knights are Tier 3, I usually can get them really early, even though you have to go right from Marauders to them as Slaanesh. They really do work out, and the armor and shielded unit is a whole lot better than the regular Marauders, so they really function well. And then for our Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons, 110 armor, 52 weapon strength with bonus for infantry, frenzy, and just all around just really good unit, as well as looking completely badass as well. So now to move on to the characters, our good old sorcerer, Chaos Sorcerer, is now a Sorcerer of Tzeentch with the lore of Tzeentch. At this point, he should have a couple Tzeentchian spells, nothing too fancy, but something to help him out, as well as might have a couple items as well. My Exalted Hero has been put into Exalted Hero of Khorne on Gorby's Chariot. Usually you unlock this pretty early after you dedicate him, even though it does reset his skill points. He'll get it really quickly. So he's got a lot of more buffs now, a lot more stats. So he's got like rage, missile resist, more missile resist, fear, a whole lot of armor and all that. So he's going to do really good. And of course we have Archaon on Drogar now, his demonic steed. So he's also got a lot more. He's got a lot more effects, and also has unlocked a lot more spells. So he should also be a pretty good spellcaster too. So without further ado, let's do this fight. We're going up against the elves this time, and that's why the balance of power is a little bit more even. But we still should be able to tear them up because their units at this point still are not able to stand against these guys too well. Alright, so I think they're actually going over here. Yeah, the main elven forces going over there. So we may have to backtrack because they're going to be going around here instead. I might mess up our lines.
Ruin. Battle hungry.
Warriors of Teach! Move with guile!
They kind of mixed up their guys.
My blade hungers.
Covering ground!
Close on the ship.
So
Down!
Serving Nurgle.
Thralls of decay! Evil unbound! Warriors of Nurgle!
Make them wither. With relish.
alright, let's go get our Kaon in there. Let's do our Blue Fire of Zinch. I didn't mean to hit that guy. We're gonna send our Gore Beast chariot in. Yeah, those blue fires do a whole lot of damage, a whole heck load. We're gonna do the Burning Head as well to try to get some more enemies dead. We are up against a. Let's take care of the Silver Helms with these Slaneshi
Dark Prince's minions!
Should be pretty easy
We
to
are
do.
foul.
Let's charge the Coronate guys through.
Slaves to darkness. Do not
Again,
meddle
like
in
I said,
my destiny.
the War Shrine's going to do really, really well. It's going to do God's work. There we go. Really going to be doing the God's work.
Eternal defenders!
Dark Prince's minions.
Alright, let's focus these blobs over here of enemies.
Knights of Slanesh!
The Raven's justice.
Let's go take care of these routing guys.
The Plague Lord's wrath.
Conspire and kill!
Visit distraction.
Thing is, only having one Chaos War Shrine does kind of hurt us because we're not able to heal people up as much as we would be able to if we had more.
Guided by the Prince!
Yeah,
Warriors
we're
of
kind of
Teach!
losing over here because of that.
Overwhelming sensation. Give us
Deal with these
Ruin.
guys. Spirit Leech on him.
Archaon.
Do our army ability. Oh, those silver helms are in the back, messing up our guys. So let's send our sorcerer down there.
Chaos Warriors. Lashed for slaughter. Savage duty. Their purpose is served.
Deal with these
Rapturous
Welcome Sea Guard.
bloodshed!
Send the Exalted Hero down there to help these Chaos Warriors of Zinch. Though we will probably dedicate more to a couple gods. We may not have every single god represented in the final because, again, it's more, as the Chaos Warriors, it's more applicable to dedicate to to one god more than just multiple gods, because if you continue to do to multiple gods, you'll probably find that your armies are less powerful because they don't cover. You don't have the units that cover the god's weaknesses, so your weaknesses are easy to exploit. So like Nurgle has some units that would cover his speed problem, but you know, if they're Nurgle speed units, then they'll be good, but if they're Slaneshi, the Slaneshi ones just aren't durable enough to really withstand and, you know, do good when it's when they're up against Nurgle enemies. Alright, so yeah, but we're doing really good right now.
Warriors of Zinch.
Come on, let's get over there. Come on, Gorby's chariot, let's go. Yeah, we're doing really good against these elves. units are good,
Expect suffering.
and Slaaneshi units are good, but you know, once they get their charge done, they really don't serve too much more of a purpose.
Spirit corruption.
Good thing is the Lawton Sea Guard doesn't really do much either, and they don't have a lot of armor to really do a whole lot either. Or withstand a lot. Alright. And that's the army losses. So, that was a tier 2. Let's go on to a tier 3. And finally we're here at tier 3. So, there's been a lot of changes and upgrades. As you can see, I'm heavily favoring a couple Chaos Gods and only having one Chaos God that's barely featured. But I usually try to feature all of them because there's strengths that certain ones have that others don't. So first off, the changes to the cavalry. So we've got 2 Doom Knights of Tzeentch, which I feel are a really good unit. They're flying, they got magical attacks, silver shields. They're a really good defensive unit as well as a nice cavalry chaser, especially because of their flight. They're able to go over things and reach certain units behind the enemy line earlier, so they can, you know, go around and deal with, missile infantry or even artillery really good. So I usually try to get those as soon as possible. And then here in the forests, we have our Skull Crushers, really powerful melee shock cavalry. Have a really good charge bonus, really good weapon strength, frenzy, 130 armor with a silver shield. They're really good, really good, and I try to get them as soon as possible. Now for our main line, we've upgraded our Chaos Warriors of Nurgle to Chosen of Nurgle, which are 100% better all around. More melee attack, more weapon strength, more armor, silver shields, more leadership. They're just all around better. We've doubled our war shrines. Well, actually tripled, but we'll get to that in a little while. So we have 2 war shrines of Nurgle now to help support the main line better. And then our sorcerer here is on a war shrine of Tzeentch, which buffs up his magic and will allow him to do a whole lot more magic now. For our backline, we've stuck with Warriors of Khorne, but now we have Chosen Warriors of Khorne, which gives us flaming attacks, a whole lot more weapon strength, armor, 130. It's insane. They're very durable. And for our Kaon, again, he's on Drogar, but now he's got all of his kit. So he's fully kitted out with all of his spells and all of his armor of Morkar, his Slayer of Kings, you know, his Helm of Domination. And then our Exalted Hero of Khorne is upgraded to a Juggernaut. So now he's going to be a whole lot more powerful along with his abilities. So, and then our final unit is a Keeper of Secrets, the Marquis of Magicism. She's the Regiment of Renown Keeper of Secrets that comes with a couple bound spells, as well as this nice little regeneration buff here. So I always try to get her if I'm lacking Slaanesh units, which usually I do because the Slaaneshi Chosen are just not as good as the other Chosen. It kind of sucks, but you know, Slaaneshi. If I'm playing Azazel or any other Slaaneshi force, I'm gonna have to be Slaaneshi. But I try not to use their Chosen because when you have access to other Chosen like Nurgle or Khorne or even Tzeentch Chosen, they're just better. Alright, and now, without further ado, let's get into this battle. We're going up against the Empire once again with upgraded Tier 3 and 2 units. But the pound's power is heavily in our favor, again, because our units are a whole lot better. So, let's get going.
So be it.
We do have an enemy artillery piece, and I'm going to try to send the Doom Knights around there to get it. The Skull Crushers are going to go around the other side. The Marquis is going to go right up the middle. I'm going to send Archaon and Drogar and the Exalted Hero up the front as well. So again, we're recharging so much magic, and we have Infernal Gateway and Tzeentch's Firestorm, so we're going to be able to do a lot of damage to the enemy, and we're going to be able to recharge a whole lot faster too. Alright, so Skull Crushers, send them into the Empire Knights here. Let's see those Doom Knights. Yeah, we're gonna have to go around with the Doom Knights. Let's go in with these guys. The Warriors of Nurgle, Chosen of Nurgle. Go in with those. They're again very slow, so they're going to be slow to take hold.
They will succumb.
And we're going to use our Warriors of Corn to try to go and attack these enemies.
For the skull throat.
Constant souls! Fight and kill!
Little Xerxes thing.
Do not meddle in my destiny!
Slayer Kings, all of that mumbo jumbo.
Skull Crushers!
Let's go get the cannon offline. Without Doom Knights. And we're going to do the Tzeentch's Firestorm spell on these guys. I usually do the Infernal Gateway because it does a lot more, but the Firestorm is going to help. And it could go into these guys as well to do more damage. It kind of just goes everywhere. But it does do a lot of damage.
We love the sick!
Let's go at them.
Corn empowers! We are the foul!
Fools of decay, bring in the rot.
Now the War Shrine of Nurgle does do a lot of, well, the War Shrines in general do a lot of damage, but they don't do that much damage. They're not really used for that. They're used more for support.
Chosen of Corn! Keeper of secrets! Followers of chaos!
Let's chase down these handgunners here. So they're going to do some damage to us if we don't. Yeah, look at how fast those Doom Knights are. And we just caught them here. With those spells, we caught them. We can't move. The Doom Knights are insane. Skull Crushers are still alive, too, by the way.
Exalted hero of Corn! Hell for Corn! Chosen of Corn! Sent by darkness!
Serve the Plague Father!
Nurgle.
The Plague Lord's
See how they've
wrath.
taken very few casualties?
They die!
That might be because of all these other things attacking, but I feel like it's more than just that.
Putridity for all! Seas of
They've done so
blood!
much, so much. The Doom Knights are awesome in the battle. So we're healing up our guys. It doesn't resurrect units, but it does do a whole lot. Let's see, let's do Tzeentch's Firestorm for these guys.
Archaon! Lusting for slaughter. The Lord surges. Charge them!
Archaon's taking a beating during those missions, but he'll be fine.
Exalted hero of Corn! Doom Knights of Sinch!
Alright. And that's it. We routed them. Barely took any casualties. Alright, and with that, Strat fans, that'll conclude our Tier 3 army composition. So, for future reference, the the best way to play these guys is to, focus on your strengths. Make sure that if you're playing Zinch, that you make sure you focus on your magic and try to keep your magic up. Getting war shrines for your characters is really good because it ups all the magic in the pool. Like, look, we still have 8, and our reserve is still going up. If you're playing Khorne, you want to make sure you play to his strengths and have like heavy hitting infantry. Make sure you're always in the melee and cutting down enemies and making sure you're pinning down those missile units. And for Nurgle, you want to make sure you have your heals up. You want to make sure you close the gap and let the enemy soak the enemy fire. Nurgle's more about outlasting them. And if you're playing Slaanesh, you gotta be fast, super fast as fuck boy, and like just go in and kill them as fast as possible, get them in the rear, in the flank, and that's really how you play Warriors of Chaos. If you want to combine them all together, there's a lot of great synergies to do that, and it's always going to be really good. So now, after knowing all this information I'm now giving you, you filthy heretics, are you ready to go out there and conquer and gain glory for your chosen Chaos God? You ready to go slaughter, maim, and kill, and burn, and destroy the entire world, all in the name of the Chaos Gods? Well, I hope that I've given you the tools necessary for your conquest, my dear viewers and Strat fans. I hope that in the future you have many more campaigns. You go and get as much souls as possible, and you drown the world in your blood. And with that, Strat fans, I wish you luck in your conquests. And keep it strategic, Strat fans. Colonel out.